and add a little bit of, another wrinkle, I guess, into the big man situation for this team that's already so deep there, which is weird to say, isn't it, to, call on these games for 6 or 7 years?
Kenneth Moreland and Jeff Spadeski will assist Nate Harris, our head official for this contest. Decent crowd continues to file in here on this Saturday afternoon. Congrats to the ladies. Women's basketball, the first game of our doubleheader today. They beat Bellarmine by a score of 73-71, and now the men's team hopes to follow suit. To jump it up will be the freshman, and actually a pair, Stephen Okoro against Jalen Owinga for Detroit Mercy and Toledo respectively. It's Okoro who comes down with it. And you can't do that.
He knew it.
And it goes back to Toledo.
You mentioned Owinga, Dan. He's going to be a really fun guy to watch. Coach Kuac said he's one of the best players he's ever recruited as a freshman. The 6'9", 210-pounder out of Grand Rapids, also the high school teammate of Nate Johnson, so look out for that throughout the day. Maybe some jawing goes on there.
And a lot of familiarity, you would imagine, too. Javen Simmons. So get a look at the Toledo starting lineup. A good strip underneath, but a foul called. So Orlando Lovejoy had to stop Owinga with a foul. First on Lovejoy, Javen Simmons, Sonny Wilson, Isaiah Adams, Sam Lewis, and the aforementioned Owinga for Todd Kowalczyk, now in his 15th season at the helm of the men's basketball program, a winning season in each of his last 14 years. And 8 20-win seasons, including a 20-win season last year.
Was out there. He was one of the finalists for that Utah State job. Jared Calhoun from the Horizon League ended up getting it.
Free throw for Owinga, and the first bucket of the day goes to Toledo. A chance to answer for Detroit Mercy. Orlando Lovejoy coming off 6 points and 6 rebounds in the win over Niagara in overtime. Nearly a takeaway as Johnson got tied up. 10 seconds to shoot. Johnson guarded by Lewis. 5 to shoot. Lovejoy to the basket. And the Titans have the game's first field goal.
And how about that? One of the first touches for Nate Johnson, his high school guy is right on him.
Expect to see more of that today. Titans 2, Rockets 1. 1 minute in here at the historic Callahan Hall. Isaiah Adams floats it to Simmons, who's bumped and fouled by Mac Mansell.
Well, this is something to watch because this is, not the only way they beat Wright State, because they played very well against them. They moved the ball pretty well, which is a staple of this Toledo team. But they also got Wright State into some early foul trouble, and Toledo was at home. So that really didn't allow the Raiders to get into flow, and already here 2 fouls within the first minute change.
This is a very physical team. It has been under Todd Kowalczyk. Simmons hits the first. They were 20-12 last season. The 4th straight year they pulled home the MAC regular season title. Lost in the quarterfinals to Kent State. And despite winning the regular season title, you do not get an automatic bid to the NIT anymore. The second free throw is no good, so they did not play in that NIT.
Kind of strange with how good this Toledo team has been to not see them in the big dance in a while.
Last time they made it, 1980.
It's a long time.
Mansell tried to float it to Kuac. A little bit too tall for him, and it's a Titans turnover.
And I think those two, as you see them guard each other there, I think that's comparable. Obviously, Owinga has a little bit more height, and he's much younger than Kuac is, but he has that same kind of feel. Rim protector that can really get high up.
Adams drives and kicks. A dish and a shot partially altered by Okoro. Wilson can't get it to fall. On the other side, Lovejoy gets it poked away. Transition chance. Lewis slams. And Toledo takes the lead with 2 minutes gone by.
That's when the Rockets are at their best going in transition. They've got a lot of drivers that can score.
Backdoor cut. Mansell lets traffic clear, and he's headed to the free throw line for Detroit Mercy. Mac Mansell. What a game he had here in the overtime win over Niagara last weekend. 30 points, 8 rebounds, both career highs as a Detroit Mercy Titan. 9 of 15 from the floor and 6 of 7 from the three-point line. 76% free throw shooter last year, averaged just 5 points and 2 rebounds, but Jeremy was rehabbing that knee injury.
It was against Wayne State here at home when he had the tip dunk. It's like, what? You know, we never saw anything like that from him last year. It just showed that he was healthy.
Can't get either free throw, and on the way to the basket, Lewis got it poked away. Nate Johnson helps to keep the possession, at least for the time being, slowed down. Once again, Toledo tries to go fast. Wilson commanding the point, the sophomore from Detroit. And for a sophomore, you'd never know he was an underclassman. Fadeaway jumper off the front of the iron. Little contact, Mansell pulls it down for the Titans. Looking for his first points. Kuac for 3. Yes! Emmanuel Kuac gives Detroit Mercy an early lead.
Well, something that's been impressive for this Detroit Mercy team, kind of scoring all over the radar. All these guys can have an opportunity, and they can rebound by committee. You saw it there in the layup to Kuac.
Lewis, shot altered underneath by Kuac, and the Titans have it back. Strong interior defense has been a hallmark in the early go for Detroit Mercy. Lovejoy, his second bucket. 7 of 4, Detroit Mercy. Give Lovejoy an early 4. If you want to make a statement, taking down a team that is considered to be a heavy favorite certainly could check that box. And it felt like last weekend, J.O., to win over Niagara in overtime was a big culture setter for these guys.
And look, there was just several moments where last year's team would have lost that game. I mean, there was many moments of adversity.
Owinga left it short. Lovejoy to Kuac, wants another. And Toledo pulls it down. Sonny Wilson in traffic, gets 2. First basket for Sonny Wilson.
My bad, Dan. Wilson just so good at getting inside. He draws a lot of fouls as well. He's a joy to watch for Toledo.
Averaging almost 18 a game in the early go. Nate Johnson a catch and shoot 3. Too strong. Okoro the offensive board for Mansell. Another offensive rebound. A second chance point wasted there for the Titans. They've had their fair share of those opportunities, and I have to find a way to cash in if they have any chance to win today. Wilson wants Simmons. They settle for a 3 off the side of the rim and a foul underneath. Looks like they get Detroit Mercy. And that brings us to our first timeout. So far, Detroit Mercy hanging tough with a Toledo team that got off to a big start in their win over Wright State. Good to see the Titans off on the right foot here at Callahan. Take a look at your two newest Titans. Detroit Mercy inking a new pair of Titans for the future. Jaquel Cotton, a 6'6" combo guard forward out of Lima, Ohio. Kind of a late bloomer. And Lance Stone, who has some connections to Detroit Mercy's coaching staff. Lamonte Stone is one of the assistant coaches. His son, Detroit Mercy's been known for those coach-player combinations in recent years. An outstanding point guard and one of the best high school recruits to sign on with Detroit Mercy in a long, long time. Welcome to Jaquel Cotton and Lance Stone. Cannot wait to see those two in the red, white, and blue. Toledo basketball, and immediately a chance and a bucket for Seth Hubbard. The Western Michigan transfer makes it 8-7.
Yeah, neither team has shot it outstanding so far in this game. It's kind of a gritty game thus far. We'll see if it picks up here out of the media.
Hubbard, the MAC's top returning scorer. Quick pass underneath. Legend Jeter has checked in for the Titans, and he can't get it to go. Isaiah Adams boards. They go underneath, and what a play by Kuac to go over and not foul. Titans get the steal. Subs on both sides. TJ Nadeau. He's also played a ton of games in this building. He knows this place well. 10 seconds to shoot. Kuac strong to the basket. He hits it. Emmanuel Kuac with a quick 5, and the Titans go back and forth. They have the lead.
It's really been fun to see Emmanuel Kuac be healthy again as well. He's probably never going to be 100% throughout his career at this point, but just because he's had so many injuries combined. But even a play like that, he draws the contact, able to hesitate in the air and flip it off the glass, finishing strong. Detroit Mercy needed that right there.
Native of Calgary, Alberta, makes it an and one, completes the transaction, and now we see the only member of the roster that had yet to check into a ball game. The freshman, Miles Mitchell, a native of Detroit, played high school ball at Warren Lincoln High School. He's been very complimentary of his recent string of practices. A quick turn and bucket for Andre Lorentzen, the senior from Sweden. We're tied at 10. Jared Larry's checked in. His pocket picked by Toledo and Hubbard. Simmons, a touch pass. Wilson for 2.
Yeah, both these teams do a really good job of sharing the basketball. I mean, it's almost like they don't care who scores, and in today's age, you'll take that.
12-10 Toledo. Can the bench give Detroit Mercy a lift with 6 minutes gone by in the first? Mitchell to Nadeau from Detroit Catholic Central. Hip bucket for TJ Nadeau.
And really, since day one, Nadeau's looked very comfortable shooting the basketball. I think they want him to make some strides on the defensive end, but hey, that's what freshman year is all about, figuring out your whole game. But he was a dynamic scorer at Catholic Central.
Already progress for the Titans. Quick pass underneath and a bucket. Backdoor cut from Isaiah Adams. Toledo never trailed in their win over Wright State back on Wednesday. They opened on a 13-2 run. So the Titans already holding much stronger than Wright State did against them over the week. Jeter for his Eastern Michigan teammate last year in Orlando, Lovejoy. Jared Larry. It's been a nice lift for them off the bench. 8 seconds to shoot for TJ Nadeau. Larry in trouble. Has a desperation heave and a shot clock violation. And a frustrated Mark Montgomery as Larry checks out and Nate Johnson, the defending Horizon League Freshman of the Week, returns.
Yeah, Larry, it seems like he's struggling a bit out there. It's funny to see because he had such a great game the other day, just kind of doing everything against Niagara. We'll see if he gets to reset himself a bit here on the bench.
And to be specific, it was a dynamite second half for Jared Larry. Plenty of time. 14-12 Toledo. Sonny Wilson to the corner, Lorentzen buries it. Toledo has its biggest lead.
Just looking at the pass there from Wilson, kind of flipping it over his shoulder. Looked like a perfect spiral like a quarterback would to the corner of the end zone. They don't shoot a lot of outside shots, but knocking it down there.
Miles Mitchell directing traffic. Looking comfortable for a freshman in his first college game. Lovejoy dancing with 7 seconds on the shot clock. Jeter with 5. Pull up. Left it short. Mitchell an offensive board and his first bucket as a collegian.
Well, you see the athleticism just right off the rip there. That's what they're looking for, energy off the bench from him.
3-point game in the first half. Lorenzen again. Little too strong. Legend Jeter boards. A chance to tie it up. Right back to Mitchell. Guarded by Hubbard for Nadu. We're tied.
Boy, that's point guard vision. He zipped a pass right to Nadu, catch and shoot. That's what they want him to do, able to bury it.
5 for Nadu off the bench, 17 all. Wilson from 18. Missed everything. And the air ball chants rain down here at Callahan. He's not heard that chant very much in this building.
Not at all.
One of the great players to play in this building. We're all square at 17, 9 minutes in.
To be Jesuit is to be more, to go deeper, sharing a passion, formed by academic rigor, classic performances, legendary character, made complete through service to others, and a faith that does justice. Jesuit basketball, mission, mind, and body, on the court and off.
We gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side, to the finish, down the ride forever, we can ride together, so together we ride, certified, and together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side, to the finish, down the ride forever, we can ride together, so together we ride, certified, and together we rise, we gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side, to the finish, down the ride forever.
Hi, I'm Molly. And I'm Abby. We're sisters, and I'm
As welcome back to Callahan Hall here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. The Titans and Rockets knotted up at 17 apiece, and I want to take a moment to highlight Mac Mansell. He's one of 2 returning starters here for this Titans squad from last year. He had a career-high 30 points and 8 rebounds in a win last Sunday over Niagara, and he is currently on the bench with 2 fouls. He's already in foul trouble with this one. So it will be interesting to see how this might affect rotations and how future players might have to step in while Mansell's on the bench. Dan and Jeremy, back to you.
Jeter, who had 14 for a career high in his last game, scores his first bucket today.
He may have gotten away with a slight shuffle there, but who's watching that closely? Huh?
Call that being a craftsman. On the other side, a basket for Bryce Ford, the sophomore from Scottsdale, Arizona.
And look, if they're going to take a lot of threes in this game or long twos, that's a benefit because it's something they don't do, and that's something that Detroit Mercy wants them to do at this point. They've knocked down a couple big shots so far.
Nadu, can he answer? Left it short. Mark Montgomery campaigning his team to attack that glass. So far, they've done that. That's one reason it's a one-point game halfway through the first half. Adams against Jeter. Lewis creates, floats, and scores. Isaiah Adams, the transfer from Buffalo, who had 18 against Wright State, makes it a three-point Rockets lead. Johnson almost lost the handle. Kuac from the corner. Yes! 8 for Emmanuel. We're tied at 22.
And maybe if you didn't pay attention to what Kuac was able to do kind of in that one game at Milwaukee and some flashes here or there, you wouldn't expect him to do that on a scouting report, but he's another guy that can kind of hide at this point in the season and be a catch-and-shoot guy for this team as well.
Had 12.6 boards in the win over Niagara before he was ejected. Adams, too strong on the three. Titans look to run. Orlando Lovejoy. Kuac for Jeter, who really took over in the second half of that OT win. And a foul called on Hubbard. He wanted a jump ball. Instead, a foul is called. Just the second team foul on Toledo, and the Titans get it under the basket. Todd Kowalczyk with some questions on that whistle. They were really going after that basketball.
They were. We've seen some physical plays on both sides by these two teams that might get a little chippy by game's end.
Jeter and Nadu to the bench. Jared Larry is back, as is Ryan Callambay. First time we've seen the native of Brampton, Ontario. Another one of the freshmen for Mark Montgomery's team. A lot of these freshmen have held their own. Kuac sizes up a three. And another! 12 for Emmanuel Kuac. What a start.
He's pumped up as he looks at the bench. He should be. This is a great start for Detroit Mercy against a really good team.
One of the holdovers from last year's one-win team has the Titans up 3 with 8 to go in the first. Lorenzen launches. Spins off. Nate Johnson boards. Will the Titans look to run? Lovejoy initiates too strong. Lewis on the other end, got it, and a foul. Sam Lewis, the sophomore from Chicago. And the Rockets have a chance to tie it up when we come back. Both of these teams shooting the basketball exceptionally well. We could be in for a show this afternoon here in Detroit. Last season, Emmanuel Kuac averaged just 3 points per game, but there was one game at Milwaukee last year where he went off for 27 points because he couldn't stop hitting three-pointers. So far, he's 4 out of 5. He's got an early 12, and he's right now the pace car for this Titans offense. He's a reason they're up by 1 here with 7:55 to go in the first half.
And it's not like he's just, parked himself on the outside either. Obviously, he's hit 3 of 4 from 3, and that's been the story. But we saw him drive a few times in this game, which I think is going to be the reason why a guy like him and a guy like Mansell are going to be successful. That drive allows them to be open from 3 as well. You got to protect it.
Dan Hasty and Jeremy Otto with you on a Saturday afternoon at Callahan Hall. Emmanuel Kuac. Got a feeling he's going to get a few extra touches today. And he travels. Tried to pivot. And if Ross Geller from Friends taught us anything, pivoting is difficult.
And that one, I think, was similar to the one they let go against Jeter, maybe leveling things out a bit there.
Sonny Wilson. Bounce pass taken away. TJ Nadeau steps in the passing lane. Lovejoy defers to Kuac. Nadeau, really nice start for him thus far. Lovejoy, couple of early baskets for him as well. 10 seconds for Detroit Mercy to shoot. Bounce pass. Calambe spins. Tries to float it up again. I don't know how he got it, but he does. Flat-footed. His first bucket, and it's 27-24.
Well, between Jeter, Calambe, and Okoro, they're all pretty interchangeable. That's a good luxury to have at your 4 or 5 spot.
It's Calambe who started the game against Niagara. Today, Okoro got the nod. Ford for 3, his second 3 of the first half.
And I think the Titans are going to allow that to happen as long as it doesn't happen consistently. They want to keep them out of the paint. That's been the primary focus heading into this game. But, yeah, if you start knocking down those threes, you're going to have to get out there a little bit tougher maybe.
Both teams over 50% from the floor. Nadeau. Misfires. Toledo with a chance to get the lead. Lorenzen back to Ford. Heat check. Bangs it off the front of the iron. Now Lovejoy looks to slow things down a bit. This had been becoming a track meet. Lovejoy. Up and under move. That ball just hung on the rim an extra beat. Otherwise, Lovejoy could have tapped it in himself. Ford in the corner for Javen Simmons against Calambe. Ford again, poked away. Simmons ends up with it, a fight for it on the floor, and a foul on Detroit Mercy. It's the team's 6th, so not enough to put Toledo at the line. It's on TJ Nadeau, his first. And we see Mac Mansell back in for the first time after picking up 2 early fouls. Miles Mitchell's back in with him. As Nadeau takes a seat, as does Emmanuel Kuac.
Yeah, and for your guy that scored 30 points, the last game just 0 for 1 from the field, 4 minutes. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the foul trouble and the fact that he hasn't been in there, but that shows the versatility of this Titans team as well, that you can hang with one of the better teams, if not the best team in the MAC, and not have your leading scorer out there.
And they've been changing so many parts. Quick inbound, Lewis can't get it, and a foul on one of the newer players off the bench in Chase Kuiper. So that does put Toledo into the bonus. They're already headed to the free throw line regardless. And Sam Lewis, the sophomore, Todd Kowalczyk calls an all-league talent. Couple of free throws.
Yeah, he thinks he's the most improved player in the MAC. He says he's a little bit tougher this year, handling adversity better, shooting better, scoring the post, which is something that he's done a lot today. That's a new addition for him as well.
58% free throw shooter is Lewis. From Simeon Academy in Illinois, suburban Chicago, winningest program over the last 20 years.
And he was a guy they needed to step up. I mean, they lost 3 of their primary scorers in Maddox, Moss, and Cochran last year, all guys that are playing at the high major level at this point. They needed guys like him and Sonny Wilson to score the ball more this year.
They had to make up almost 50 points per game in losing those 3.
Speaking of Sonny Wilson, it doesn't feel like he's having as much impact on this game as you'd expect.
Mansell wanted to go to Jeter. Instead, they try the other side. Mansell, guarded by Hubbard. Pull up. Too strong. They have yet to get Mac Mansell going. Still looking for his first basket. Pass too far and out of bounds. Toledo turns it over. 5 on the floor for Detroit Mercy. It's Lovejoy, Mitchell, Jeter, Kuiper, and Mansell. They tap Jeter on this possession. Nearly walked with it. Double team, back for Kuiper. 10 seconds to shoot. Will Mansell look to attack? Baseline. And draws a foul. Back to the free throw line goes Mansell.
And when he's struggling with his jump shot, he hasn't taken many today. I mean, he is going to look to drive. I think that's something that Mark Montgomery likes about him is versatility. He can score from the outside, score from the mid-range, and can drive the basketball.
Missed his first 2 from the stripe in his first trip, and he misses the first here. Free throws have been a bit of an issue for Detroit Mercy early on. They missed their first 6 in the game against Niagara before settling in. Actually got on a nice run towards the end of that game.
Yeah, Jeter was 10 for 10 from the line in that one.
Mansell splits the pair. It's a 1-point Titans deficit. Adams around his man, fights. Can't get it to fall. And it's off Toledo. Mitchell tried to grab it, and he ended up missing it off of the foot of Isaiah Adams. Well, if you're going to end up having it slip through your fingers, I suppose that's the way to do it.
Well, Dan, when you look at these games, last 4 minutes of the first half, a big part of it, that was a big problem for Detroit Mercy last year. They would compete with teams, and then it would trigger 3-4 minutes to go in the half. Team's up 10. We'll see what they can do here.
Jared Larry attacks, dishes. With 10 to shoot, Mac Mansell. Larry steps through, can't get it. Kuiper blocked from behind and taken away. Kuiper denied the chance at his first basket. To the corner. All alone is Lewis. Can't get it to fall. A fight for the basketball. Titans wanted a jump ball and instead are hit with a technical foul. And Mark Montgomery is asking how. Nate Johnson is hit with a technical foul. The freshman from the bench. And Mark Montgomery wants to talk about it. Rockets will be at the free throw line when we come back.
We gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever. When we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. And together we ride. We gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever. When we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. And together we ride. We gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever.
My workouts, they're quick and intense. It kind of fits my personality, but at 19, I developed a bulging disc and I had to stop everything. And then I tried team rehab.
Christina was pretty dejected the first time she came here. I designed a program that would keep her motivated. So we mimicked her workout, made it fun for her.
Yeah, that was really smart of him.
I'm really proud of the progress she's made. She's back to lifting, she's getting stronger.
Team works.
Team Rehabilitation. Visit team-rehab.com. Tiger Law. All we do is win.
All we do is win.
Well, here's a look at the technical foul that
he had 20-ish points. I mean, it's not like he was coming off the bench and just
he's not a
chucking up
secret.
shots. Right.
Toledo's on a 10-1 run. That spans the last 4+ minutes.
Feels all that as well.
Kuac to the baseline for Mansell. His first field goal. Boy, do the Titans need that. 4-point game. Sonny Wilson guarded by Jeter. Adams left it short, partially blocked by Kuac. And now we get two players pushing and shoving, Mansell and Simmons. And we get some technical fouls between these two sides. What in the world happened under the basket? Simmons was standing over top of Mansell. And that's going to draw a heated reaction from the faithful here at Callahan Hall. Assistant coach Lamonte Stone standing near the referees at midcourt. He is not happy. Let's see what we have here. There's Mansell and Simmons. And Simmons, you see him standing over the top of Mansell. And if the officials go to the monitor, Kenneth Moreland and Jeff Spadeski helping out with Nate Harris, I think we're going to see, and they're going to see, exactly what we saw that initiated a lot of that pushing and shoving. We've already seen two technical fouls on the Titans in this half. If
Feels a bit like a rivalry game, doesn't it? I mean, it's not really, but
What was funny about this is that we saw a lot of physicality in the game against Cleary, and we're going to get another look at this as well. And I don't know if it's a pride thing. And look at this. It's completely away from the ball.
I mean, he gives him a full forearm shiver, and then he stands over him.
Looks like we saw technicals on both sides. And now Nate Harris and company going to go to the monitor and take a look, and you may watch what they're watching here momentarily. But we saw it in the Niagara game. We saw it's going to be a common foul on Simmons, and then at the moment it's technical fouls offsetting on both sides, but they're going to look and see if there's anything more that comes with this. But the fact that it is completely away from the play is just something you don't see very often.
No, and they were kind of battling on that left block for a potential rebound. I think that's kind of how it started. So now they've announced to the crowd that Mansell has also picked up a technical foul. The Toledo fans clapped and a jeer from the Detroit Mercy fans here.
Against Niagara, we saw some physicality. We saw some pushing and shoving. And you almost start to wonder, do these teams who remember that Detroit Mercy was a winner of only one basketball game last year, is it something that sits with them? They don't want to be a team that loses to a team that had a record like the Titans had last year.
Well, Dan, I think it's too early to say this, but I'm going to say it. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near where they were last year. I think this is a team that can probably compete in the Horizon League that's very fresh, very new. I mean, there's a lot of unproven teams in this league this year, so I don't know. They still, like we said in the Open, they've still got a lot to prove, right? Because anytime you win one game the previous year, you've got a lot to prove, just like the Pistons have here locally, and they're showing that it's not that way again.
That's the second personal foul on Javen Simmons. But I think if we've learned anything in the common era of college basketball, things can change very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, transfer portal has reinvigorated programs with a snap of the thumb. Get a new coaching staff here. They brought some new philosophies as well. This team is up and down the roster better.
And doesn't it feel like this iteration of the Titans feels more like the city of Detroit?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to start going with the corny. It starts to be corny when you do it with every team grit, right? But I don't know. I mean, it kind of fits what we're seeing here. And they're going to take a long look at this. I mean, you got to
They've got the pencils out right now. So it feels like they're making a grocery shopping list.
You got to think they're considering ejections, especially on the Toledo side. Now, you never know what comes out of it in terms of what Mac Mansell said or how they view what he did there either, but
that would be a monstrous loss. And you don't know how it would go and how it would shake out. But, of course, if it would be Mansell, the Titans would be losing a player who scored 30 points and a career high in the win over Niagara last weekend. If Toledo lost Javen Simmons, they'd be losing out on one of the best players in the Mid-American Conference. He was the MAC Freshman of the Year last year.
And he's the guy that's scoring even more for them. I mean, 12 points a game last year, 16 this year. He was a guy that got himself into some foul trouble last year. He led the team with 100, had 3 disqualifications.
It is surprising to see emotions get the best of players in a game like this. I mean, this is not a conference game, as now we're getting another look. And now look at this. You see Lamonte Stone, the assistant coach, doing his best to play peacemaker and try to get in and mitigate the situation. Orlando Lovejoy's there. Mark Montgomery is there as well. And maybe that has something to do why this is taking so long.
Could be. I bet, they first looked before the ball, how did this escalate, right? And it looked to be just kind of a battle on that block, and then it got stepped up as he kind of stepped over him, gave him a full push. And
the question also becomes, did anyone come off the bench?
Right.
Then you start to worry about that.
Well, and does Emmanuel Kuac need to blow back from this because he kind of pushes him? But is that just taking us, hey, get away from my guy, get away from the action, stop fighting kind of thing? So there's a lot of intricacies here.
Titans had a player ejected in that OT win over Niagara last weekend. That was Emmanuel Kuac. It's not the kind of streak you want to build.
Well, this is not the way you want to gain back or lose momentum, but we talked about it. I mean, it was right in the teeth of a nice Toledo run there. It brought on by some of those technicals and free throws and getting the basketball back. Right now it's a 4-point spread, which doesn't feel like a lot, but for this game it feels like a lot because how tight it's been. I mean, neither team has really been able to rally past each other. Detroit Mercy just won for their last 7 from the floor right now. Sonny Wilson heating up. He's 3 for his last 4.
And it kind of feels almost like, because both teams are starting to see their shooting percentages come down a little bit, water is sort of finding its level.
Yeah. And that's kind of how we started, but right in the middle there is when it started to pick up out of that second media timeout. Both teams were shooting around 50%, and that's where it's hovered. Looks like they're coming to some sort of ruling. They brought the paper out. So there's going to be a variety of things that come out of this.
And I think what will tell us a lot will be the reactions of the coaches. And it looks like we have flagrant fouls on both sides.
Flagrant
ones. And another common foul on Javen Simmons. And then a foul on Emmanuel Kuac is what we understand.
So that would probably be a technical, right? Because that would have been after the play, theoretically. I mean, unless you're calling 2 common fouls that were known near each other.
But at the moment, we're not hearing about anyone being ejected. So let's wait and see. And keep in mind, there already is a player that has a technical foul, and a guy like Nate Johnson. Of course, that happened on the bench, and you get a second technical in these situations, and that's curtains. That's how Kuac was ejected in the game last weekend.
So both teams are receiving the news right now. I'm literally looking back and forth between the two coaches. They're not really reacting that egregious. I think it's a lot of explaining because there's a lot to be explained right now. Todd Kowalczyk looks okay-ish with it, I'd say. Mark Montgomery having a bit more of a discussion with the official on the left here.
And it's always tough when this sort of situation happens in front of your bench because the temptation is for your coaches, for your players to involve themselves, to get involved, to try and defend their players, to try and mitigate things from escalating.
And I think we said it, but that's why you have to take such a long look at it and look at so many different pieces of it. First it was, them battling against each other. Then it was, being stood over and being pushed. And then Emmanuel Kuac pushing. And then everything that happened in front of the bench and all the coaches trying to pull people away. There's also a lot to be sorted out with the book to see where we are with the personal fouls and how the technical fouls respond to the personal fouls. This is kind of pulling the whole rule book out.
I can't remember a delay being this long in quite some time. It just gives you an idea of just how many moving parts these officials are dealing with. So leaving the bench, flagrant one on both Mansell and Simmons. 1-1 goes on both flagrants, and it looks like we have a technical on Simmons. That is a Class A technical. And also a Class A technical on Emmanuel Kuac. And they got taunting on Javen Simmons. So after all that, no free throws, Toledo basketball. A lot of record keeping here at Callahan Hall on a Saturday afternoon. Sonny Wilson. There will be a test on this later.
Fill in the bubble.
Orlando Lovejoy for Kuac. His 5th three of the first half. That's one way to respond. 1 point game.
He has looked so confident and comfortable shooting those balls as well.
15 first half points for Emmanuel Kuac. Adams over the front of the rim. Emmanuel Kuac with the rebound.
Adams just 1 for 7 today. He struggled.
Kuac now 5 out of 6 from the floor, 4 of 5 from deep. Inside for Jeter. Backs his way in, spins and travels. Said he got pushed. And Mark Montgomery trying to get to Jeter, trying to get him to use that big frame he has. 6'8", 230 pounds. Titans turn it over. Hubbard fights. Good job by Nadu to hold his ground. Lovejoy. Only Kuac has earned so many touches in this first half. So they try Jeter again. Pick and roll perhaps. Back to Jeter. And an offensive foul. It's a nice play by Jalen Owinga. Hit the spot and immediately took the charge. It's a freshman.
Those feet were shuffling. I think the difference was that he kind of put that elbow into the chest just a little bit more than you'd be comfortable as an official letting that one go.
Wilson. To Owinga. Wilson for 3. Missed everything. Second time the Detroit native hears the air ball chance here at Callahan.
Detroit Mercy's made him look a bit uncomfortable today, not just shooting from the outside, but a couple of his shots on the inside as well. It's a rare sight.
10 seconds between game and shot clock for Detroit Mercy. Under 30 seconds to go in the first half. Could the Titans finish this half with a lead? Nadu from the baseline, yes! And the Titans are up 1. Shot clock is off. Toledo has a chance to finish the first half with the possession. Sonny Wilson against Jeter. 5 seconds. And a foul called on Detroit Mercy, and Mark Montgomery can't believe it.
Whole bench was looking for a travel, and I think they had something there. The contact maybe came after he took his second or 2.5 steps into the body there.
Double bonus for Sam Lewis. A 58% free throw shooter this year. Titans will have enough time to get the basketball down the floor in a hurry with these 3.8 seconds. Now tied at 35. What a fun first half this has been. We have seen literally everything.
A lot to unpack for sure.
And the Rockets go up by 1.
But how about this rebounding advantage? 24-13. That might be one of the better rebounding teams in the MAC. Detroit Mercy with that advantage, just to clarify if you're just tuning in.
Lovejoy, gotta go quickly. Larry didn't get it off in time, even though he hit the shot. Regardless, a strong 20 minutes for the University of Detroit Mercy, and some talking between these two sides as they try and go off the floor into their respective locker rooms. Looks like Isaiah Adams was trying to go off the floor and got stuck in no man's land around a sea of white jerseys. Well, There's no question that both sides will be motivated for the final 20 minutes here today.
Well, and I think something that's going to be talked about in both of these locker rooms, you cannot let these emotions get the best of you.
Let's go to Cole Hostetler, who's on the sidelines with Coach.
Dan, Jeremy, thank you so much. I'm here with assistant coach Chris McMartin. Coach, you guys are down 1 going into the half, but what are some positive things that have allowed you guys to be in the position that you are?
Yeah, we're playing with grit. We're getting a lot of offensive rebounds, which is good. They run a lot of stuff, so we're able to cover that. We're communicating well. Obviously, we got to clean up some things. We had some early turnovers that hurt, but late we started taking care of the ball more, which helped. So hopefully we keep scoring inside, keep crashing the glass, and keep containing them on offensive end.
Obviously, things got chippy there a little bit, got tense at the end of the first half there, but what was said in that huddle to kind of bring the guys together in that stoppage?
We just got to be smart, right? And it's an up and down game. Guys know each other a little bit, so it's a little testy. But the key is for us to keep our composure on different things like that. So I thought we did an okay job, but it's gonna take another 20 minutes for us.
Yeah, and you say another 20 minutes. It's going to take good basketball in the second half. What are some things in the second half that you guys will have to see in order to come out of here with a W?
We're going to have to execute better. A couple times we didn't execute great, and limiting the turnovers. I think we gave them, 4 or 6 turnovers that led straight to points. So we have to make them earn it on the offensive end, and keep going like that. Defense is going to carry us. Keep going to the offensive glass, but taking care of the ball is going to be key.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Dana, Jeremy, back to you.
Titans have actually outshot Toledo. They've shot 45% from the floor and 50% from behind the three-point line. Granted, they've been paced by almost one player primarily, Emmanuel Kuac with 15 points. They've got a lot to be proud of in the locker room.
And that's the thing, kind of circle player on the day, right? I mean, last game it was Mansell. Today it's Emmanuel Kuac. Tomorrow it could be TJ Nadeau. I mean, that's how this team is going to roll, I think, all season long, and that's going to reap a benefit for them, I think, once they get into conference play.
We've played 20 minutes, and the Titans are hanging with a team that was the regular season winner of the Mid-American Conference. Should shape up for a fun final 20 minutes here at Callahan today.
Molly.
And I'm Abby.
We're sisters, and I'm older.
But I'm smarter.
But other than that, we're pretty much the same.
We both play soccer.
We both injured the same knee.
We both had surgery on the same day.
And we both rehabbed at Team Rehabilitation.
Get back in the game. Get the individual one-on-one attention you need at Team Rehabilitation, Michigan's fastest growing network of physical therapy providers, dedicated to helping you and those you love to be pain-free and get their lives back. Visit team-rehab.com.
Team works.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
Because every athlete deserves to be treated like a pro. Henry Ford Sports Medicine.
These doubleheaders make for some busy days here at Callahan Hall. Dan Hasty, Jeremy Otto, and a huge shout out to everybody that helps make these broadcasts go. Cole Hostetler, Dan York, Zachary Witt, Zachary King, Nate York, Brendan George on the cameras, Brett George, who nearly ended up in the middle of that scrum under the basket to our left. And of course, our director and producer, Christian Gibbons. Everybody's got to pull the same way. And I'll tell you what, they were treated to a really interesting first 20 minutes of basketball.
Yeah, they were. We saw a little bit of everything. We saw some big-time play by Emmanuel Kuac as well, 15 points and 3 rebounds to go along with 2 steals. Lewis also was pretty hot in that first half in stretches, 10 points and 6 rebounds for Toledo. Sonny Wilson maybe not able to get into the same groove that we've seen him to this point. He does have 7 off 3 of 6 from the field, but he's a guy that can heat up at any moment, so don't sleep on him here in the second half if you're Detroit Mercy. And I think the chippiness might carry over a little bit. I think it's who's going to be able to manage those emotions as we go on, Dan.
Yeah, and if nothing else, I think Detroit Mercy has showed something so important between the Niagara game and now this game. They belong.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going to have to continue to prove that. I think even when they start conference play, they're going to have some opportunities against some higher-level teams on the road the next 5 games after today. But this is one you circle as a first litmus test to this team. Obviously Loyola was going to be that as well, but this is maybe more their level.
Second half is next here from Detroit. Start of the second half here in Detroit. Titans down just 1, 36-35. Horizon League is busy today. Look at Cleveland State, a winner over Eastern Michigan, and even Youngstown State came to play. They pushed Syracuse to overtime today. For the Orange, ended up 104-95 winners. Green Bay against Providence, and Oakland taking on Kansas today. They get Hunter Dickinson and company. Take a look at some first half numbers. Look at that rebounding advantage, 24-13 in favor of Detroit Mercy.
And it's been that way really the whole game.
Mansell, Larry, Lovejoy, Okoro, and Kuac. Mansell, too strong as the Titans tried to get the lead. Sonny Wilson to Javen Simmons. Quick give back to Simmons. Nearly got it taken away. Toledo wants to go quick. Lorenzen. Good defense by Okoro underneath. Mansell wants to run for two. Titans have the lead.
Did a great job. He pretty much kind of turned his body and almost was flat in between those two Toledo players to slice his way through. Good start for Mansell.
Who's playing with 3 fouls. Hopefully that gets him in a rhythm. Foul away from the ball. Lovejoy. That's his second.
Yeah, we got some clarification as well. Nate Johnson with 3 fouls himself because of the technical. Also counts as a personal. So you've got 2 primary players with 3 for Detroit Mercy.
That one a little too strong. Rebound Detroit Mercy. Lovejoy, his turn. And he takes a lot of contact. That was Simmons and Orlando Lovejoy to the line. Javen Simmons now with 4 personal fouls. And there's 19 minutes remaining.
And on top of that, through 12 minutes of action, Detroit Mercy has held them to just 1 point. Does have 3 assists, but still.
Well, even with a missed free throw there, Simmons now with 4 fouls seems much more valuable than does a missed free throw for Orlando Lovejoy. Simmons only with 1 point. He hasn't even attempted a field goal today. Lovejoy gets the second, and it's a 2-point Titans lead. Their largest lead is 3, but they've been hanging around all afternoon. A pass inside as Mansell went down. Adams for 3. Offensive board, nearly threw it away. Adams working on Larry. Another offensive rebound. And after a huge rebounding disparity in favor of Detroit Mercy, now some extra chances for the Rockets. Wilson unable to cash in. Mansell. Couldn't put enough behind it.
Looked like he was kind of in between on both of those shots there. Didn't take him confidently.
Isaiah Adams had a couple cracks at it on the last trip down the floor. This time he connects. 7 for Isaiah Adams, and the Rockets have the lead once again.
That snap's an 0 for 5. Don't let him get hot if you're Detroit Mercy.
Jared Larry. Mansell. They'd love to get him heated up, especially with Kuac, as Mansell goes down hard. For Wilson. For 2. A turnover that leads to Toledo points. That's the 9th Titans turnover. Orlando Lovejoy got off to an early start. Spinning and fouled. He just kept him attached to the ground, did Sam Lewis. His first personal foul. And 2 free throws coming for Orlando Lovejoy, who shot 64% from the free throw line as an Eastern Michigan Eagle last year. And Jeremy, he was kind of the focal point of this rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, a good veteran get. You need a guy like that to lead a lot of these younger players. You got a lot of freshmen playing key minutes this year. And on top of that, sorry, Dan. On top of that, a local guy, which is an emphasis in recruiting with this staff as well.
Gets them both. Lamonte Stone, an assistant coach for Mark Montgomery, was on staff at Eastern Michigan, said as soon as Orlando Lovejoy went into the transfer portal, he said first person he called was Lamonte Stone.
Makes sense.
1 point game. And look at the effort there by Emmanuel Kuac. Wanted to say it went off of Toledo, doesn't get the whistle.
I was talking to Tony Paul of the Detroit News, and one thing he said about this team, he just notices how many plays they have just like that, the hustle plays.
Lewis against TJ Nadeau off the bench. 5 to shoot, Wilson. Titans get it with a chance to get the lead. Orlando Lovejoy. Patrols. Nadeau's open. Left it short. Wilson leaves for Lewis for 2. Sam Lewis in double figures, the first for Toledo.
He was really the only player that was able to get comfortable offensively in that first half.
Toledo up 3, 4 minutes gone by in the second half. Lovejoy gives, nearly taken away, fought for. And Detroit Mercy comes out with it. And a foul on Toledo. After all that, Isaiah Adams gets whistled. His first foul. I guess he grabbed onto a Titan's leg coming out of that pile. Let's take a look. This looks more like a rugby scrum than it does college basketball. Nice job by Lovejoy to stick to it. Kuac, Lovejoy.
To be Jesuit is to be more, to go deeper, sharing a passion, formed by academic rigor, classic performances, legendary character, made complete through service to others, and a faith that does justice. Jesuit basketball, mission, mind, and body, on the court and off.
We gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, when we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, when we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever.
The Horizon League and their members live and play in the largest and most vibrant cities in the country, allowing their student athletes exposure to unique experiences only available in major cities. To learn more about all the major cities, visit horizonleague.com/brand recharge. Check out the favorite spots to visit and socialize of our athletes and administrators in the major cities by visiting horizonleague.com/LITL. Dan Hasty, Jeremy Otto alongside. Jeremy, they actually went to the monitor that time. Maybe you're looking for an intentional foul that time.
Yeah, we've had a lot of monitor trips so far today, and if it's anything like we saw in that first half, it might not be the last time. This time, I guess, is a decent time to do it. As we headed to the media there, so not really any extra time added, but they're having a discussion. Your three officials here today in the middle of the court.
We've seen technical fouls. We have seen flagrant fouls during that scrum on the court. We're curious to see if maybe there was something more than just a common foul on Isaiah Adams.
I don't think there is, because there's nobody going over to explain to the Detroit Mercy bench. One of the officials was going over to Todd Kowalczyk there. I think they're just going to keep this the same.
Looks like Orlando Lovejoy's at the free throw line, Jeremy.
Maybe not. Just surprised in that scenario they didn't explain, but maybe they did earlier in that timeout. I don't know.
So with Lovejoy at the free throw line, that says we might be looking at an intentional foul here. And he misses the first free throw. Boy, these free throws have not been kind to the Titans this year. 5 out of 10 today. They split the pair. Still a 2-point game regardless. Titans get the basketball. They've checked Nate Johnson, who won Horizon League Freshman of the Week, back into the contest. He has 3 fouls.
Feels like one of these moments has to break the other team's back, but they just aren't. I mean, both teams are handling adversity pretty well in this one.
On the baseline, Jeter for Johnson. Lovejoy attacks and buries. We're tied at 43.
It's a pretty looking shot right there.
Orlando Lovejoy is in double figures with 10. Seth Hubbard, the Max leading returning scorer, goes inside. It gets poked away from Adams. Good job by Johnson defending underneath. Johnson, no points today. I know he hasn't been out there that much, but he doesn't force it. Hubbard, catch and shoot. Instead, a pass. Wilson patiently waits and scores. Nice job by Sonny Wilson. Lets traffic clear and puts the Rockets back up by 2.
You said it earlier. He doesn't look like an underclassman. I mean, he didn't at all last year, serving as a starting point guard on an experienced team.
Nadeau traverses and travels. Titans turnover is their 10th of the afternoon.
And 10 or under is, what this coaching staff preaches for where they want to be. So definitely on track for a few more than they'd like, but still right into this ball game despite that.
Sonny Wilson against Orlando Lovejoy. Adams from 12. An offensive board will not fall, and a foul underneath. It's on Detroit Mercy. Orlando Lovejoy, the guilty party, with his 3rd personal foul. Now on the Toledo side, Javen Simmons with 4 personal fouls back into the ball game. We saw some of the Niagara players playing with 4 personal fouls, and it felt like it changed the way they played. Be interesting to see if that affects Simmons in a similar fashion.
Yeah, Simmons today just 1 point and 3 assists. I think Todd Kowalczyk just looking for something offensively. They really haven't been able to get it going, though we saw against Wright State so far today.
Wilson around a screen to the hoop. Gets the roll. Sonny Wilson. 13 for the Detroit native. Nate Johnson lost the handle. Just gave it away. Bryce Ford. Too strong, but a long rebound. Adams. And it comes down. Crisis averted for now for the Titans. Lovejoy spins and scores. Orlando Lovejoy taking over in the early stages of half number 2. 2-point game. Lovejoy with 12. It was Kuac in the first half, and now it's the junior from Detroit. Simmons working on Jeter. That's a tough basket for Javen Simmons. His first field goal today.
That's one, if you're Detroit Mercy, you just kind of shrug off because you had them step for step.
Miles Mitchell. To Lovejoy. Off balance. Offensive rebound, Mitchell. Strong for 2.
And that's what they're looking for, that little spark off the bench from Mitchell. If they can get some inside scoring from him, that could be huge down the stretch here.
Using all 6'10" of that frame to make it a 2-point game again. Adams against Lovejoy. Physical. Inside to Simmons, who travels. Substitutions. Ryan Callambay, Jared Larry, Mac Mansell. Jeter, Lovejoy, take a seat. Nate Johnson as well.
And you might think, oh, that they're kind of rolling. Why would he make those substitutions? But, this coaching staff all about keeping these guys fresh, and the next guy isn't that much of a drop-off. So that's what you're seeing here.
They do it because they can. Jared Larry throws it away. And a dunk. Oh my goodness, Isaiah Adams. A thunder dunk from the former Buffalo Bull.
That might just get him going. They needed some kind of spark from him offensively. We'll see.
Titans have to take care of the basketball. Miles Mitchell runs it up, nowhere close. Hubbard for Simmons against Mitchell. 2 more. Javen Simmons gives the Rockets their biggest lead today. Timeout, Detroit Mercy with 11:39 to go. How will the Titans respond? It's a 6-point game at Callahan. Toledo up 6 under 12 to go here in Detroit. Dan Hasty, Jeremy Otto, and what's interesting, Jeremy, is that both teams are shooting 44%, but the difference is Toledo's taken twice as many shots here in the second half.
Well, they've kind of got back to what they do well. We saw them take a few more mid-range and threes than we're used to early on in games, and in this rally, most of those points have come in the paint. And they haven't been easy buckets. I mean, Detroit Mercy has been right there defensively a lot, but they're fighting through the contact, and they're hitting some tough shots.
You saw Emmanuel Kuac, who was huge for the Titans in the first half, scored all 15 of his points. He's yet to find a bucket in the second half. Legend Jeter, who took over in the second half in his last game, can't get that friendly roll. That's a tough miss for the Titans, and the Rockets have a chance to expand their biggest lead of the day. Sonny Wilson. And a giveaway. A Toledo turnover to Larry. He gets 2. Titans were desperate for a bucket, and they got one.
Well, it hasn't been Larry's best day, but we'll see if that gets him going here in the second half.
Titans got a bucket. Now they need to play a little defense.
Welcome back to Callahan Hall. Here we are in the second half with just under 11 minutes to go. The Titans are down 53-49 in advantage of the Rockets. And I just want to take a moment to highlight the rebounding battle in this ball game as the Titans controlled the glass in the entirety of the first half, out-rebounding the Rockets 24-13. However, as Dan alluded to just a minute ago, the Titans have taken half the shot attempts as the Rockets in this half. And the Rockets have 5 offensive rebounds already in this half as compared to 2 in the first half. We'll see if they can get stops and limit the Rockets to 1 shot here the rest of the way. Dan, Jeremy, back to you.
You would have to imagine that Todd Kowalczyk at halftime really challenged his team to try to tighten up that disparity.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that is not going to face a disparity that large very often, I wouldn't say.
4-point Detroit Mercy deficit.
This is a group that's obviously still learning each other as well, so we'll see how that pans out here in the second half.
And a whistle and a foul. Orlando Lovejoy. That's a tough foul, and his 4th. He becomes the first Titan to play with 4 fouls.
Can't say that Toledo isn't dealing with it either because they've got a guy out there with 4 in their own right, but Detroit Mercy definitely in an interesting position with Johnson and Mansell also with 3.
Lovejoy to the bench. TJ Nadeau with 7 points off the bench. Checks in. Sonny Wilson. Andre Lorenzen in the corner against Emmanuel Kuac with 10 on the shot clock. Jeter rips it down. Who had 14 points, a career high, in the win in OT over Niagara last weekend. Mansell, they'd love to get him going. Kuac for Mansell. Got it poked away. Hubbard fouled. Jared Larry got him. And that's the Titans' 13th turnover today. And for as well as the Titans have shot the basketball today, actually shooting better from three-point range, 46% to 45% from the floor, it's the turnovers that have done them in.
And you can see a pretty frustrated Mark Montgomery over on the bench. And we've talked about the fact that this Detroit Mercy team has dealt with adversity fairly well so far in this young season. This is definitely one of their more challenging events that we've seen thus far.
Hubbard gets both. It's back to a 6-point Toledo lead. Matches their biggest of the day. Nadeau pulls up from 20. And it goes back to Toledo. And they took a shot very early in the shot clock there.
And you're seeing a lot of reactions here by this Titans team in a game that's been pretty tightly officiated, and we've seen some technicals called that maybe wouldn't otherwise be called. You got to be pretty careful right now.
Simmons to Lorenzen. Hubbard for three. Big miss. The Titans need to take advantage. Larry on the deck. And an unnecessary foul on Jared Larry.
I think a little bit of a frustration foul. You missed a tightly contested shot. I don't know if you call it a bunny, but a layup that Larry probably makes 99% of the time, and you're just going to go over the guy's shoulders and knock him for the foul. Fouls are going to be an issue here in the second half for Detroit Mercy. 5 already.
It's the 17th foul on Detroit Mercy in this contest, just 9 for Toledo. Sonny Wilson through traffic. Make it 18 fouls on the Titans. See who they get. It's Jared Larry again, and it's his third. And see, it's the unnecessary foul that really starts to add up later. So now all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, Jared Larry's got 3 fouls. And he was so important for them during that OT win against Niagara.
He just hasn't had it today for whatever reason. 17 minutes of action, just 2 points, 1 rebound, 2 turnovers, 3 fouls now. And it feels like, Toledo missed the 3 a couple minutes ago. Now a guy you wouldn't think misses a free throw here. I mean, the door hasn't closed, but at the same time, if you're Detroit Mercy, you got to take something here.
Sonny Wilson, 81% from the free throw line this season. Splits the pair. Rockets are up 7. Orlando Lovejoy back and playing with 4 fouls. Just goes to show how important it is to Mark Montgomery to control the basketball. Lovejoy leaves it short. Titans have gone cold. They've missed 5 of their last 6. Lewis. Simmons can't go, but Sonny Wilson follows. And the Rockets take a 9-point lead. And all of a sudden, the Rockets are finding those rebounds.
And he gets right around his season average at 5. He offensive rebounds so well when he's going right.
And a foul on the floor. Looked like Larry kind of tried to create some space. They call Toledo for a foul instead. It goes against Sam Lewis. 4th on Toledo. Titans have 6. They're 1 away from putting Toledo in the bonus. Titans need a basket. They haven't scored in 2.5 minutes. Larry wants Jeter. Back to Larry for 3. Got it. They needed it, and they got it. Back to a 6-point game.
sometimes it takes those improbable things in the flow of a basketball game to happen. And if you were to pick anybody to hit a big three, I don't think it'd be Larry right now the way he's played, but there it is.
First three of the day for Jared Larry, who had 11 against Niagara. Came alive about at this point of that OT win. And now Wilson bumped and fouled by Orlando Lovejoy. That is his 5th personal foul, and Detroit Mercy is going to be without one of their most important pieces for the final 8 minutes of this game. How will the Titans react? They're down by 6 here in Detroit.
To be Jesuit is to be more, to go deeper, sharing a passion, formed by academic rigor, classic performances, legendary character, made complete through service to others, and a faith that does justice. Jesuit basketball, mission, mind, and body, on the court and off.
We gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, when we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. And together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, when we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. And together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever.
Orlando Lovejoy has been an important piece for the Titans really since the offseason. The focal point of Mark Montgomery trying to build this thing back from the studs. 12 points, 3 rebounds in 28 minutes. You see him in the background there. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get back in this ball game. 5th personal foul. He has fouled out, and Jeremy, we were just kind of looking over how things stack out for this Titans team, and now they have to really look for answers in a primary ball handler.
They do. It's not an easy selection right now. We've seen Gondrzik a little bit this season. He's not out there right now. Played sparingly against Niagara, so probably Larry is the guy they're going to lean on here. Maybe Nate Johnson a little bit. Mac Mansell is a possibility. But again, you know, when you're down 6, potentially 8, depending on how this shakes out here for Toledo, Mac Mansell is more the guy that you want to catch and shoot rather than to create. At least that's what you want to do when you have all your pieces. That could change.
Sonny Wilson has 16, 5 boards, and 5 assists. And he hits the front end of the 1-and-1.
And how about Sonny Wilson, Dan? I mean, Lewis definitely the story in the first half. He had 10 points, now just has 12, but Wilson is definitely accomplished what he wants to accomplish on a gamely basis here in the second half, I'd say.
And so efficient. 7 out of 12 from the floor. Back to an 8-point lead for Toledo. Wilson leads all scorers with 18. Larry lost it. Wilson throws the oop. Toledo keeps it. Lewis fouls. Mansell looks to be the guilty party. That's his 4th foul. And now at this juncture, the foul's really starting to add up on Mark Montgomery's squad.
And we talked about, you know, kind of managing your emotions. If you're both teams here in the second half, I think Toledo has done a better job of that. I mean, you saw on that last play, Detroit Mercy wanted the foul, maybe didn't get back as quickly as they could have on defense, and then got an easy layup opportunity on the other side.
14 Titans turnovers. As Montgomery gets ready to send TJ Nadeau back into the contest.
And I think something you saw there, I think they were hoping maybe for a little bit more offense from Nadeau when they took him or put him in the game when Lovejoy came out with 4 fouls, and they were kind of forced their hand, like not much going their right. not much going their way, put back Lovejoy in there, and then he fouls out. I mean, that's kind of the risk you play at that point in the game, but we'll see what we see from him here.
Lewis hits both. He's got 14 points and 7 rebounds. 10-point Toledo lead. Larry hit a 3 a moment ago. Now Toledo gets whistled. It's a foul. Looks like it's on Olinga.
I think this is one of the most animated Mark Montgomery games we've seen so far from him. At his players, directed towards his players.
Titans need a run. They've not called Nate Johnson's name a lot. Can they get him involved? Legend Jeter picks up his dribble, finds Kuac with 5 to shoot. Nadu blocked. Lewis on the other side. Traffic clears. Missed it. Couldn't hit the layup. Larry to Kuac. And the Titans have really struggled to hit shots. Wilson, no, but Olinga, yes. Toledo's up by 12 with 6:43 to go. Yeah, almost in some ways feels like the Titans have run out of gas here.
A little bit, which is kind of funny to see since this Toledo team was the team that has another game in hand this week. That they played the early game. Detroit Mercy had a whole week to kind of rest up and get ready for this one. And, you know, Mark said it before the game, like, look, sometimes the days off at this point of the season help you. Sometimes it just makes you think a little bit more. And, you know, sometimes it hurts you. I'm not going to say that's the reason why Detroit Mercy is losing this game. Toledo's definitely played a lot better than they have in the second half of play, but I'm with you. It does feel like they've kind of exhausted all resources.
35% from the floor are the Titans. Rockets are in the bonus for the rest of the way. Rockets still have a foul to give. Still time, but the Titans are going to have to start hitting some threes. They've done that well today. 43% from the floor. Some full court pressure from Toledo. And they just beat the 10-second clock. Larry can't get it to go, but an offensive rebound. Nadu, they need it. They got it. TJ Nadu's in double figures for the Titans. Single-digit deficit for Detroit Mercy. Isaiah Adams to the baseline. Wilson. That little teardrop has been there all day. 20 for Sonny Wilson.
They share the ball so well.
By the way, that's a career high for TJ Nadu. Johnson wanted Jeter out of bounds. They're saying Jeter was held to try to get to the basketball.
It's almost like Detroit Mercy has been feeling the pressure inside 10 minutes here in the second half. It feels like almost every possession. You know, they've taken quick shots, as you mentioned earlier. Just haven't gotten those good looks, turned the ball over quite a bit.
Been a tough day for Legend Jeter. 1 out of 5 from the floor in 23 minutes. See if Stephen Okoro can give them something in the paint. Wilson streaks and scores. Why, Sonny Wilson, the Detroit native, has taken over inside a building he has had all kinds of success in. Larry scoops and hits. Titans cannot afford to trade buckets at this juncture. They need a couple of stops with 5 minutes left.
Toledo in no hurry at this point, going to take probably half of the shot clock down every time at this point.
Lorenzen buries it. Big bucket for Toledo. That one hurts. It's a 14-point Titans deficit. Okoro to Mansell. Mansell, wild shot. does not fall, and Mansell slow to get up. And he took a shot under the basket. He's headed to the free throw line. Let's take a look. It's not easy when you're going up against not only a MAC team like Toledo, but a really quality mid-major. One that the Titans really hung well with, not only for the first 20 minutes, for the majority of this second half. It's only taken this Toledo run that has been the separator here in the second half. Nate Johnson out, Emmanuel Kuac in.
And how about Toledo being able to manage Simmons well enough, not only when he's on the floor with 4 fouls, which has been, a decent chunk of minutes, but being able to recover it with him not being out there at those minutes when he quickly picked up the 4 here in the second half.
Mansell got them both. 7 for Mac Mansell. Adams. Javen Simmons back in for Toledo. Lewis against Nadu. 6 seconds to shoot. Lewis sizes it up. Leaves it short. The Titans could get a 3 here and make their deficit single digits once again. They want it from Nadu. Nadu, 4 out of 10 today. He's got a career high 10. Little fadeaway left that short, and a big collision near the free throw line. Titans now in the bonus. We'll walk to the other side and shoot some free throws when we come back. Titans are down by 12. They need to get some points at the line and stop that clock. Long way to go with under 4 left. Point lead for the Toledo Rockets with under 4 to go. It has been quite the homecoming for Sonny Wilson. 9 out of 15 from the floor, 22 points. And Jeremy, he's a big reason why Toledo has outscored Detroit Mercy 35-24 here in the second half.
Certainly is. It took him some time to get going, but once he gets going, it's like clockwork for him. And, he has 22 in this game. But you look at this stretch run, which has allowed them to pull away. He's gotten a lot of other guys involved as well. You look at another stat, too. I mean, you kind of, I don't know if it was a sure bet that Toledo would be ahead in points in the paint by game's end, but that's what they do, right? I mean, more than 50% of their points this year come in the paint. They lead by 10 right now over Detroit Mercy. Probably couldn't afford to have that number in that way if you're going to win this game today, because Detroit Mercy likes to score inside too.
Another missed free throw. Mansell, 3 for 7 at the free throw line. It's costly too on the front end of the 1-and-1. Simmons against Kuac. 2 more. And the buckets have just not been there for the Titans over the last 5 minutes or so. They can't get that one either. Tough day for Jeter continues. 1 out of 6. Ryan Callenbay comes in for him. So coming up for their next contest, they're at Ball State coming up on Wednesday. So we'll see another Mid-American Conference team. Back to the free throw line goes Toledo. That'll be Lewis. Jared Larry gets the foul. That's his 4th. And for Ball State, picked to finish 6th in the Mid-American Conference. They were a 500 team last year, but really talented center, Peyton Sparks. So much like Javen Simmons, Titans are going to have their hands full with one of the more talented bigs in the MAC.
They lost to Indiana State today, did Ball State 94-84. Played some tough games so far.
Peyton Sparks, the transfer from Indiana. Jared Larry, nice move. He's got 9, 74-61.
Larry did a really nice job here in the second half of digging himself out of a hole. Not a whole lot of production in 15 minutes. You know, kind of leading into the middle of this second half, but he's turned it around.
They've really had to ask a lot of him ever since Orlando Lovejoy fouled out with 8 minutes left. Simmons gets another. 9 for Javen Simmons in 20 minutes.
Obviously, at this point, Simmons able to play pretty free if he fouls out. Who cares if you're the Rockets? Kind of padding his stats at this point.
Mansell loses the handle. That's the 16th Detroit Mercy turnover.
And now this is the second straight game where Toledo's opponent has gotten into foul trouble. It was a little bit more in the first half for Wright State. Here in the second half is kind of more the story for Detroit Mercy, but probably a decent amount is their own doing, whatever way you want to take that, you know, with how the technicals went here today and such. I mean, the technicals count as personals, which ultimately ding you when it comes to the foul trouble late in games.
Titans have 21 fouls on their ledger today. Here's a takeaway, but TJ Nadeau stepped on the line. Well, he had his pocket picked cleanly.
That was a weird play, too, because he was still stepping while he didn't really have control of the basketball. They were both had their hands on it on that left block there.
It's kind of amazing. Here's a block from behind. Nadeau got another piece of it. Simmons wanted a foul. It's interesting to see with 90 seconds left that Toledo still got their starters out. This game got a little chippy in the first half. Lewis, and 1. Sam Lewis.
Sam Lewis is going to be an interesting player to watch here in the MAC. We talked about how much he's improved this year, has seen so much more playing time to go along with his sophomore year.
Now we see the substitutions. Simmons, Wilson, Adams, all to the bench. Gerger Bursic. Bryce Ford. Tyler Odie.
Yeah, Brzic is kind of a intriguing guy. 6'10", 225 out of Croatia. Didn't really play much last year, but didn't dress for the Marshall game earlier this season, but a guy that could find their rotation at some point.
Nice move there for Calumbay. And a block there of Larry. Toledo's outscored Detroit Mercy 43-26 in the second half. And a slam. Jalen Owinga putting the finishing touches on a huge second half for Toledo.
Well, the Owinga really hasn't been able to get loose much tonight. He has played 22 minutes, does have 5 rebounds, just 5 points in total, but I mean that gives you a flash of why he was number 4 in his class in Michigan last year.
And you can't help but go back to think about when Detroit Mercy was up 34-33 towards the end of that first half. And since that time, it's really been all Toledo. They've outscored Detroit Mercy 46-27. Under a minute to go here in Detroit. Jalen Murphy, a freshman, also getting a little chance to get some playing time. Owinga goes to the line. Just got fouled by his high school teammate.
You know, Owinga kind of in an interesting...
That was Nate Johnson, by the way.
Right. Yeah, Owinga kind of in an interesting part in his freshman year. Obviously, I think he's got a really good chance to play a lot of minutes on this team, and he started here today. But at the same time, it's kind of like he's stuck behind veterans, but those veterans are sophomores, and they've kind of taken their next step in their career, you know, waiting in the wings, whether it be Sonny Wilson, you know, adding more scoring this year. He was a starter last year, or a guy like Lewis, like we've talked about at length.
Emmanuel Kuac drains a triple. Had 15 in the first half. He's got a season-high 18 today.
I think a consistent 12 or 15 for a guy like Emmanuel Kuac to go along with 5, 6, 10 rebounds, if he can get it to that point, is going to make a big difference on this team this year, though. The problem last year was getting him healthy on the floor.
Brzic lost the handle. The Titans float it down for Johnson. Gets the jam, and that looks like it'll be the way we end this one here on Saturday. (82-67) your final here from Callahan Hall.